walking, biking, busing, driving, and using whatever form of transportation you discovered in order to make it here tonight. We're glad to have you with us. This is an event that has been many months in the making. And we're very excited to go use these data products that NASA has to show off to us tonight. So, welcome to A Night with NASA. First, I would like to talk a little bit about Community DC. So, the event tonight is Data Innovation DC. We are part of a group of data-related meetups called Data Community DC. There are a lot of sister and brother meetups here that some of you may already know about, attend regularly, or be affiliated with in some way. There are a lot of really terrific meetups. Data Innovation DC is focused a lot on kind of being that connection between people who want to be consuming data and people who are trying to put it out there so that entrepreneurship can happen, projects can happen. There are a lot of other things we do. The Science DC, for instance, has very technical talks about algorithmic approaches. Women Data Science DC is one of the newer meetups that is trying to bring together women in the data science community. And there are a lot of other ones that I encourage you to check them out. Data Community DC has a webpage, a Twitter handle, we provide a newsletter that I would encourage you to sign up to get and get all of the latest information. You'll get alerts about meetups, training events, also job announcements about the newsletter. And you can use So, this is the team, the innovation team. I'm delighted to have our esteemed founder here with us tonight, John Murphy. My name is Rebecca. We also have Ben Gensworth here, and Sophia, and Ed.
Yes, it's possible that organizers may number actual attendees.
And they're pleased to but at the end of the event, Sophia will be escorting us to our after party. I'll show you the location of in 2 slides. But these are the people who made use of time. And thanks very much to all of you for helping with this. So tonight, our plan is, of course, just a little bit behind you guys, to give people a little extra time to show up. But here's our plan tonight. After introductions, we'll have our speakers from NASA to promote. We'll have time for audience Q&A, so if you have ideas for projects that you're working on, you'd like to engage with the folks from NASA and ask them specific questions. They'll be happy to speak with you. And then after, like I said, there'll be data drinks. Speaking of which, the data drinks location is 6th Engine. So you can see a very short walk from where we are. And like I said, after the event, people are interested in going along with us. Sophia will be our chaperone to make sure that we walk a straight line. We'll be walking with our feet. I also want to have some time to thank our sponsors. So some of our continuing sponsors are Georgetown. We're very grateful for Georgetown giving us this space of our meetings in. If you did not know, Georgetown has a certificate in data science. If you are interested in learning more about data and maybe becoming a council members for the programs that we found Hamilton, AOL, continuing analytics, and also continuing sponsors. And Data Society, have people heard about the Data Society Kickstarter? So Data Society is trying to start up a data education for all platform classes, and they have a Kickstarter going. I think there is a day and a half left in the Kickstarter. They've already gotten to their goal, but they are offering prizes and training opportunities to people who join the Kickstarter. So it's that out. Thank you also to District Data Labs, which is one of our longtime sponsors that offers data science courses. And also an incubator program and a research lab. And we have a blog that has very hands-on tutorials with code and information about how to execute projects that you may be interested to check out. So if you're interested in learning more about District Data Labs, their website is districtdatalabs.com. And I would also like to give a big thank you to Zapata, who is our prime sponsor for this meeting. So for all of the pizza, for all of the planning that went to this event, it's all thanks to Zapata's sponsorship. And I would like to invite Kathy to come up and talk a little bit about Zapata and what they have to offer. And so please come up and switch over to your slide.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy, and I'm really excited to work with myself here. I know that, as you mentioned, we changed a couple of times, so I think this is the kind of day like that who really showed up in our passion for data science and what it asks us to make mission of how to innovation power data. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Zapata and just kind of where and what we're focused on. Is anyone in the room familiar with Zapata? Great. For those of you who do not raise your hand, so at Zapata, our vision is to help me help unleash the power of data to help create a better world. We're doing this with really working and partnering with a lot of the federal agencies out there, NASA being one of them, in terms of how can we get data in the hands of everyone in this room, how can we get data into the hands of citizens, and how data continues to grow. These are some of the ways that we work with, and to be able to see what, as citizens and as taxpayers, where is your money going to? What is the development of the program that an agency is spending money on? Or, for example, where is the budget being funded to? Just a few weeks ago, we worked with the White House on President Obama's budget for fiscal 2017. And now if you go on the Open White House, Open Government budget, you can actually see how is this $14 trillion being broken into. So this is not only helpful for federal agencies, but also helpful for individual citizens as we are taxpayers, wanting to know where is this money going to. So this is just one of the very many ways in terms of what it is that our mission and vision is focused on. And we're really excited to be here today with NASA, with Data Innovation, Rebecca here, to really collectively talk about how can we continue to take that outside of this room. One of the things that we really focus on at Zapata that I wanted to just kind of highlight is how there is a tremendous amount of data, whether it's sitting in your computer, if it's a PDF file, an Excel file. I think we all come across data every single day, and the goal at the end of the day is to figure out, well, how can we take all these individual source systems and actually create a platform where you can create a different type of user experience, something that perhaps my grandma could also take a look at and understand, but also somebody I wanted to take to a stakeholder who was looking to a policy and understand as well. So on the right-hand side, we just have listed here the different types of people that data can affect. And overall, how can we deliver this to, again, the public consumption users, people who are researchers and analysts of subject matter experts on that data? How can we deliver different types of data experiences? Different people who might look at data and might have a different knowledge of data. So we really believe that focusing on a data platform, having everything in one centralized location can help deliver data. So that's just a brief background on Circana and what we're focused here to do. And again, we're really excited to be here to continue to sponsor events like this. Meetups, I think, are one of the best ways to really network, meet people who are like-minded, and really share ideas that can drive inspiration and ideas to perhaps your next application or your next project that you're working on. So thank you for having us here, and I'll be back to those two. Just wanted to say thank you for allowing us to do this great.
So I just want to say, we've got our speakers. Well, it's okay, no, I was going to say our first speaker is Beth Beck. We also have Jason Dooley here, who's all the way from the West Coast to specifically for this event. So ask him the hardest questions. We have Kathy, who's going to be speaking to us about her work with NASA, and then Amy Guff, who's going to be speaking about her work as a principal consultant. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to show you a couple of websites. This is the open.nasa.gov website, which is our umbrella site. So it's where we place everything, all the projects that we're doing, all the other websites that we have, they're all in one place. Oh, one thing. We've got Danielle Rivales, who is with us for 6 months, and she's part of this website is here because she helped me load tons of data and tons of stories, and there's a lot of things you're going to do. Danielle came with us. We've probably still been on this website, so good thing you were able to bike over here tonight. So what we've got, if you go just the top level. So what we do is we try to organize, just like you were telling the stories, Kathy, of the kind of people that we try to organize. We've got citizen scientists, developers, citizen activists. The guppies, as we call them, just be curious. So if you come to the site for the first time and you can see yourself there, we organize the data based on kind of what we think you're interested in. So civic activists, they would go right to the OpenGov plan and all those other things. The developers, we take them right to some developer plans. So let's go to the open data. So we have blog posts all over. So on this page, it takes us to all the other websites we have. So we've got data.nasa.gov, code.nasa.gov, API.nasa.gov. We've got all of these websites. And you can, they're standalone websites, but we wanted to have one place where we can get to them all. And then Jason's going to go through all these websites because he's the data guru and our inquirer of data, and he's created all of this. The Explore with us.
Okay, so with the Explore, if you jump over to Explore with us at the top, this is where we actually have our open data programs. So we've got the Data Nuts program, the Space Apps, Data Fellows, and then we've got all the other challenges that we hope to have for data. We've got a place for them there. So if you go to Data Nuts, you're on the Data Nuts, okay. This is the program that we are we've got our first data class. What we learned, we went out and said we don't have enough women in data. This is what we discovered through our SpaceX program. Like 80% men who engage with us and 20% women on a good day. So we spent a year kind of going out and looking at how can we get more women to engage with data, how can we what will it take to bring them in? And one of the things that we heard when we did a literature search, we also went and talked to organizations, and we heard that women need a safe space to engage. One of the things they're looking for is that there are women on the podium, there are women that are featured on the website, that they can go early to an event and get introduced to concepts that they may be unfamiliar with, that they can already team with women so that when the ratio changes on the normal day, they will have already felt comfortable. So we took all of that and we tried to kind of build some of that into our programs. The Datanauts is one way we did it. So for the founding class of the Datanauts, we brought in all women leaders. We wanted to, so when we have our next class of Datanauts, we're going to open up applications in the end of April, and we will select our next class by June. That class is open to anyone, but forever and ever again, the first founding class will be all women, so that we can always have that signal that we do care about women in data, and so because we're government, we can't have a women's only program. There's a lot of wickets we have to go through to do that. So we just had advisors come in for the first time after this is open, but we do want to engage with women. This program will have challenges we start, and we're going to give them, we have a little community activity kit so they can have a 2-hour evening event to engage with data and making. So we're putting all that together so our Datanauts, when they come in the next class, they can engage with data in a unique way. Space Apps, we're about to have Space Apps April 22nd to the 24th. It's our 5th annual Space Apps challenge. It's international. We have 194 locations in 72 countries, and it's a weekend event. And so that's coming up this April. We'd love to have you guys involved. So what we've done also for Space Apps is that we've added a data bootcamp the day before Space Apps, which of course Sakura's going to be part of more last year. And the data bootcamp, which is the day before, is another way we let the newcomers to the data space to come in, kind of get introduced to what is data, what's an API, what's an Arduino. We're not going to teach them how to code in one day, but we're just going to, what we want to do is that, especially for women, we can say if you don't know how to code, you have other things you can bring to a team, like you might be the best storyteller. So for the Space Apps weekend, when you've got a weekend you're creating an app, you can have the best solution in the world, but if you can't tell a story about it, you're not moving forward with the judges. So even if you don't know how to code this year, but if you know how to tell a really good story, then you're invaluable to the team of coders because you're telling the story of why your app is compelling. So we want to show them what these things are so that they have real value in the teams, and when they go in the weekend, they have something to offer, and then they can spend the next year learning how to code. So we want to kind of affect them in coding. Then the other thing, a couple of things we've got in this source, the Space Apps page. Okay, so this is just, we have the SpaceAppsChallenge.org. So again, our open.nasa.gov gets you to all the other websites that we have. And so, yeah, here's where the registration is going to open up next week. I'm so confused on the calendar. I'm losing weeks, but it'll be the beginning of next week. We'll open up registration. So for the 194 pages and 194 locations, you'll be able to pick one close to you. And then we also on this side, we have a capability to do data stories. So like if you do something really awesome with NASA data, you can tell us your story and we'll feature you on this website because we really want to honor the work that citizens are doing with our data. The innovation space is about what people, creative and innovative ideas people have done with their data through NASA programs. So for Space Apps, we've got the winners, because Danielle loaded them all in. We only have last year's winners, but we're going to, as we have at a time, we'll pull in winners from all the other years. But this is where we have a place on a nasa.gov website to show the individual citizen-generated solutions. They're going to be featured on a nasa.gov website, which is a really big deal. So for someone who's trying to get a job with a company, they can say, I did this thing, I got recognized by NASA, it'll come on their website. So there's, we're a government, we can't pay you for your work. You're doing all the work for you. And that's the other thing I always make clear with Space Apps. You're doing an app for you. It's open source. You're not doing an app for NASA. We're giving you our data to create yours. And so that's when we can do this. Our lawyers are going, that's free labor. No, it's not, because you're working for you around our data. So that's how we can do this. And then what we can give you back is feature you on our website. And then if you're not even going through SpaceX, but you do something super cool, like a visualization or whatever you want to do, you can put your story, load your story into the data, and we'll make it into a feature story. So we want to hear your stories, and we want you to use our data. Now you learn from Jason how you can use our data, and through data.nasa.gov, there are ways you can make visualizations and APIs, and you can actually play with the data on that website. So I am going to hand it over to you.
So, hello, I got my microphone right here. Do you want to do that so you can?
He knows me so well.
So yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah, quick question, because I don't have the time to say, all the APIs are on the open NASA.
The ones that we have collected.
Yeah, so
I'm referring to the link.
I'll jump straight to that.
No, can I speak?
Yes.
You're from the NASA, so.
We're both on.
Oh, okay, I thought it was just.
Yeah, but we do have an API.nasa.gov that we have collected the APIs, and it's a hard thing to go find where the APIs are, so we collect what we have, like 4950 there, but you can also create one.
Right.
I'm gonna take it.
Our email address is on there, so
Who made this?
If you make an API on our data and you create something from it, you keep that credit. Yeah, absolutely.
What's your name?
Beth,
Right.
Beth,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Jason
I'm
Dooley.
listening to Howard.
Don't do that. All right. All right.
So yes, if you create something from our data, you've created it, you can go make money on it, and we want you to. Because actually, we are one of the mandates from the White House, and I hate mandates, I hate people telling me what to do, but it's super cool when someone tells you to go innovate. We want that mandate, and our mandate through Open Data is to spur innovation in the community. So we really want you to go make money from our data. That's awesome for us.
So, so really quick, I'm going to run through some of our open innovation sites that we have, and then when we get to our data site, we have Socrata here that will take a deep dive into some of the nuts and bolts of their platform. So I'm Jason Dooley. I work at NASA Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California. I'm on a detail headquarters, so I'm out with my team here, and I have the opportunity to come talk to you guys, so I'm pretty happy. So our team runs a bunch of websites that reflect our open innovation work. So essentially, you can think of that as one of the pages that show where we have code, data, and APIs. So roughly 3 bins of things. There's a lot more. But, so we try to reflect those in our web presence. Put stuff out there for our hackathons and folks like you to make them better and get the return on your taxpayers' investment. So really quick for the source code, NASA has lots of open source software. We basically catalog it. There's a GitHub repo called Open Catalog. So if you go to github.com and you go to the NASA organization, you can see all of NASA's GitHub posted source code, which is where we're putting things nowadays, just because actually pretty much what everyone's going to use. But we have up to 250 open source software projects here that you can look for and filter through. So there's a lot of good stuff. Some of it's on GitHub, some of it on NASA servers. Some of it you download each firewall, and some of it you can just clone or fork and go. So there is a great wealth of information here. As I was telling the guy doing the drive-by, we have a bunch of APIs. They're kind of split between our data side and our API side, and we'll talk more about why that is. So we have a lot of APIs that we currently have what are like more or less third-party APIs. They're APIs that live on Heroku or Amazon. We essentially set up API.nasa.gov, so the endpoint to NASA APIs are essentially uniform. So instead of going to like an Amazon West Coast box or Heroku app, we set up this reverse prop environment. So one, we can make all of our APIs flow through this endpoint, and two, we can more essentially set up app keys and do regularly. So we have limited resources, so we want to make sure that we're talking to data. Also, it's a nice convenient place to host API listening. So here, is a JS bin we put in that shows how to use the astronomical picture of the day. So if you want to pull up a picture of like a bird cloud or whatever that is, then you can do so. The code's right there, and you can see how it works. On the API listing page, we have a bunch of APIs that are documented here: near-Earth asteroids, Earth imagery. We're adding more. We're currently working on some for our Space Apps Challenge. So we're going to add Mars and VESA data sets. And this is imagery data, so we're talking 25 terabytes of imagery data, altimetry data, material composition data is all going to be out there. So we're working to get that on our hackathon. You know, I'm not really sure where VESA is, but it's up in space somewhere, and it's an asteroid, I think, or a moon. It's something like that. I work in NASA, but I have my head buried in the laptop. So that tells us where VESA is.
It's either is a moon.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a bunch of great data for it. So we kind of wanted to mix Minecraft and real NASA data in world generation. The lawyers told us we couldn't use the word Minecraft, so we have some less clever open world generation challenge that we're doing. But in the notes, it's going to say Minecraft. I'm going to put it on there. I'll have Danielle write it on there and then start some kind of a thing. But that's really what we want to do, is basically use that NASA data to make video games, make simulations, whatever the heck you want, but use the data and come up with things that we haven't thought of. So this API site will have those data sets on here, hopefully as well. So the next slide I wanted to show was our data portal, which is kind of what probably most of you are interested in, which runs at data.nasa.gov. So we started off data.nasa.gov. The former team was nice enough to register the hosting for us and set up a WordPress blog, which was great, but we needed something more, because as the data started growing, as OMB and GSA wanted us to have more machine-readable constructs to show our data and make it more easy to find, we had to have a matching web infrastructure and stack to do that. So we partnered with Socrata, and we decided to build data.nasa.gov to do just that. So essentially, there's a few facets. So there's a data facet, there's a stories facet, and there's a developer facet. The data facet is essentially this data catalog. And the data catalog contains roughly 31,000 data sets. We're about to sync another 1,000 or so in there, metadata-wise, and we're also getting folks to host data on our platform as well. So that's an important distinction. So NASA has authoritative sources. I mean, I think we have 3,000 subdomains in the NASA.gov domain. So that means there's a lot of data that lives on, Earth Science.nasa.gov, Space.nasa.gov, you name it, there's data everywhere. The last thing we want to do is copy that to this platform. So what we have is a lot of meta records that point to these various authoritative sources. And that's the bulk of our catalog. But one of the things we really want to do, especially for some upcoming work on publication, data hosting, and helping folks with their orphan data, is to host it on the platform so that we can leverage these data tools that are able to get this product. So I'm gonna let them talk more about it as well. That we have the open.nasa.gov blog posts are essentially aggregated here. So if they're data stories, those blog posts will come here, and we need to do another blog post. We'll be doing that soon. And developer resources, which essentially contain hosted data sets that have been put on the platform that are exposed through APIs, and then some of it moves back to our API site. So that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm going to call up my counterpart, Amy, and she's going to take this thing to town. So. And you can, do you want to use your laptop? Yeah. All right.
I am a solutions architect for Socrata, And I focus mostly on kind of how to plug data into the existing assets and how to centralize and make it easy to access. Right, so this is the NASA Open Data Portal, and so we've already been to the catalog. So this is sort of the catalog view, it's like a centralized view of all the data sets. And as it was pointed out, a lot of this stuff is metadata and pointers to data that already exists. So one of the goals of this portal is to sort of centralize and be able to find stuff that you're looking for. So there's an ability to search data sets and also sort by categories. So say you were looking for all of the aerospace data sets, you can come in here and it would go through all of the 30,000 plus data sets and then give you a relevant data set. You can also put in search topics and it'll pull up data sets. So I pulled up one example. So this is 3D models that were published in this catalog, and this is of Skylab. So this is kind of what it would look like if you click on one of those external links. It would bring you to this page, which has API access to the metadata. So you could access all of that through the API if there was some reason you wanted to do some sort of app that, like searches this catalog and like finds data sets that are this category or anything that has to do with the metadata. You can get access to that here. You can also go to the home page of that data set, or in this case, this blob sort of image file, and it would go to a page like this where you can download. This is like 3D modeling data. You can download that data here. In addition, there's also tabular data that's actually stored on this platform. So this is one of my favorite data sets, just because I think it's cool. It's meteorite landing data, and it's collected by the society that does this cataloging. So it's tabular view of all the meteorite landings that have happened. So you can come and see it's a ton of data. One of the cool things you can do with this platform is actually filter it and visualize it in here. So as more data sets are added to this, you can directly come in here and kind of manipulate it. If you don't want to code against it, you just want to do something quickly. So I'm gonna come in and roll up by alt type and do roll up of the data and like 2 categories, fell and found meteorites, and then you can come in and quickly visualize the data. So not like a super useful bar chart, this is just an example of something you can visualize on the platform. There's better data sets to do it with. This is one that I understand, so I showed them. But yeah, so the tabular data is here. The tools are on this platform. You can come in and use it. You can embed a lot of these visualizations, so it's pretty cool. There's like simple iframe embed code. I think I need to log in to do that. So you can create an account and do all that. So this is another view of that meteorite data. So this is kind of an analytic view. There's a couple of these created on the NASA catalog. It's called the data lens. And this is just a more sort of exploratory view of that data. All of the landing sites have been geocoded, so you can kind of come in and if you wanted to look at stuff around your area or just in a specific region, you can come in, click on it. It gives you coordinates. It gives you information about it. The same chart that I made, you can filter by it, so you can come in and do that. And so this is available on the platform. And as more data sets get added, more of these views will be created, and you can come in and explore those. Here's another. This is global landslide. So this data set catalogs landslides that have happened in this region. And you can see it's created on this platform. The data set is available behind this map if you wanted to create your own visualizations with it. And that brings me to, so we talked about APIs. So on this specific platform, this data.nasa.gov, if the data set is in this platform, it's API accessible. Oh, sorry, let's switch back to here. So you can get to the data sets back to this. So you can see there's an APIs button, and you can click and it generates documentation for that data set. So let's go back to the one that I had open. So this is the meteorite landing data set API. So there's, a JSON endpoint, and then there's examples on how to query that data. So these are just samples on how to query by name. Or one of the important things for this, since it has a lot of geolocation, is how to query within a radius or within a bounding box or anything like that. So all of the APIs are available for data sets. And I, took, so this is the documentation for like within circles, which is one of the functions you can pass in. And I put it into this this tool that runs API requests. So I'm going to quickly do a geolocation at this coordinate within 600 miles of this coordinate and launch the request. And you can see here it returns a result JSON, and then you can run this and develop an app on it or develop another visualization or whatever your mapping tool choice is. So yeah, this is just another external site. But yeah, are there any questions?
Might not be a question, but fell versus found. Does that mean somebody sees it falling versus just finds it on the ground?
I think that's what it means. I think fell is flooded and found is actually found.
Sitting there with the iron and the challenge and all that.
So fell would imply that there was never an actual piece of evidence.
Correct, yeah, I think that's what it is.
Must have been found.
Yeah, and there's a link here. For the metadata, there's a link in the page.
You mentioned this data set was collected by an organization that's not part of NASA. Is that true?
So basically, for last year's Space Apps Challenge, we set up a mechanism to where as they collect the data, we synchronize it into our site for administration purposes. So that is one of the sites that's kind of they do use NASA information on their sites and are affiliated with that point of view, but it's not a non-NASA site. It was essentially to show how one could take data and bring it to the platform and actually have data. So maybe you show it inside of that. So this data set here, we're currently working with Goddard. This is a citizen science project that's essentially trying to create the world's authoritative source of landslide information. So essentially that was kind of a roller on the website, which had some problems. What we're implementing on top of data.nasa.gov is an app that's crowdsource enabled. So essentially you have the ability to build a front end. Since the data that goes on the website is exposed to APIs, we're going to build a front end on that API that allows citizen scientists in the field to take observations of landslides. And those will go into kind of a holding data set that get vetted by folks that are the librarians of this data set and ultimately synchronized into this data set. So this is something we're working with, it's very new. One thing that we're doing currently inside NASA is working on building a front end that leverages the data that's here via API. So why is that important? Because one, it reduces the cost. So for example, I can build a front end, put it on GitHub and run it as GitHub pages, make AJAX calls, to our backend, and now we have the middleware and persistence mechanism already accounted for. So we save money on IT costs. We can show custom views like this inside Socrata, plus we can use this as a data platform from an architectural standpoint to, in essence, as the military backend. And what we're trying to do, because we have a lot of kinds of applications like that at NASA, build something like that, prove it out, and then use it in a bunch of places to basically save money on IT, so that folks can orphan data. This was an orphan data set that didn't live on any one NASA server, and put it on there and provide the services, not just across.
So I wanted to bring up like the meteorites. The thing about the SpaceX challenge that we have, we pull together challenges that are created by NASA experts and like the European Space Agency and some other agencies that come in and give us their challenges, and they'll give us specific data. The results of SpaceX is that people like you guys take like the data, take the challenge, create data for the challenge. Sometimes we don't have data for it. We just want the citizen generated data. We want you to go out, take pictures of some of we have leaf, color your world, leave me alone. We have challenges like that. So we want you to go take pictures of leaves. We will crowdsource. That gives us information about the environment where you live. We have challenges about like the tree health, and you can see the encroachment of the trees by the pictures that people take. So we do take you generate data for us to do our science as well. So the citizen generated, that's the citizen science part of it. So there's the new movement at NASA, and it's a hard thing with you've got your scientists to know how to do the job, to let go of a piece of it and say that 10,000 citizens might actually give you an insight you didn't know. And that's what we're doing with SpaceX. So you will find data now that has been pulled in-house. It's created by you, but it will be in a data set. So it may not have come from a satellite, but it's come from you guys helping us then pair up something with satellite data. So it's this really interesting, the boundaries between what's NASA. I don't know who asked that before, but is that really NASA data or someone else's data? But we do collaborate with citizens organizations because we don't have the eyes and ears around the world. You guys are. We have the technology, the satellites, but then we do need the human eyes on our data and on the effects that will go into our data. So that's kind of this interesting mix of how open data becomes, we're better at what we do at NASA because you guys are engaging with our data, with our programs, and it's this really, synergistic kind of thing that's awesome. So you can still go make money from it, but if we can get smarter from it.
Just a question, as you're seeing more people engage with your data sets, are you monitoring the popularity or what interests are? So if people are going into certain data sets, do you find that that's something that is interesting?
We're required to report on that now every quarter, but that is a hard thing, but you do keep.
Yeah, so the site has analytics, so we built in, I don't know, I'll show it.
There's a requested data set even in here, so we can.
Yeah, so that's a good one. So essentially, we have analytics, so every time someone clicks and makes a call or something like this, that's all logged. So as Beth was alluding to, OMB wants us to tell them who our top users of data are, what are the top data sets, so we can get that information there. So that's kind of seeing what's happening on our site. And similarly, we have a suggested data set feature where you as a citizen can register for account and say, I'd like some data on this. And then what we do is we are the liaisons to the admissions programs and products to try to find that data, see if it's openly available, and get it on here. Because even though we have a lot of data sets here, we probably have about 3% of this publicly available data. We just launched the site a year ago, and we're continuing to add data sets that make it better. So hopefully, eventually we'll get there. We're essentially want to be a federation node where we essentially get data from the various silos and roll it up and put it in one convenient spot along with some hosting.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up. You guys are using words like synchronize and open data and things like that. I mean, can we directly post to these APIs or post information back, or how do you make the data?
That's a good question. So as far as if you had a data set up there and you had write permissions, you can post to it and you can put and delete and do all the rest of the operations. These data sets are world readable, so that means you can get operations off essentially. But with this platform, it's possible to do post-clicks and deletes if you have the permissions to do so.
So if I observe Meteorite, I can just like get on my phone the app that I created and post it.
That's kind of what this wrapper layer is, because we want.
Create that app, and then we'll use it.
His question is fundamentally different. I mean, otherwise, it's a trust issue, and it's the internet, the Wild West. So we like to have people post to our data set. Essentially, what we're doing is instead of making them do a low-level put, we're building a form that allows them to do that through an app, and we're handling that. And then we can essentially have the custodians look at that data, merge duplicates, throw out the crazy ones, and then keep the gold copy.
What are the interesting apps that you've seen so far using NASA?
Yeah, I mean, the Space Apps Challenge, we've seen some from there. There's a bunch. We just went in the other day. I think there's about 40 apps that are using our APIs. Strangely, it's the astronomical picture of the day seems to get a lot of attention. And there's actually some apps in the App Store that are using that API specifically for NASA.gov. And there are some data, some meteorite landings do have some application wrappers around them. As far as what those apps do, I'm not sure. We kind of looked at a couple, but to answer your question succinctly, the Space Apps Challenge usually spits out some great projects that data and other data. We always find data that we didn't know existed. So, yes.
I was wondering, how often do you update the data, and is there any real-time updates?
It's a great question. So we're resource constrained, so we're doing this data management piece on as much as possible. So to give you an idea, I hear about life sciences winter meeting. I invite myself to it. I start asking questions, and then I talk about a spiel similar to this, and then I end up signing up to get their metadata into our system. And so I would get maybe all 20,000 records in one fell swoop. And then that could happen once a year. Typically quarterly, we refresh the site through the suggest mechanism. As we find stuff, we refresh it there. We're about to add about another 600 to 1,000 data sets roughly in the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of the pace we're at.
I want to give you kind of an overview of how this works. So NASA is an open data agency. We always have been. We're built on open data principles from the very beginning of 1958. The funny thing about it is that our data is not human readable. So we have spent, through the years, we've been expert at making it human readable with visualizations, and we're really good at that. The open data movement is to make it machine readable. So finding all of our data, which we've made human readable, or we've made we've got it in a format that our scientists, our specific PIs and scientists need. I mean, they have the data in the format that they need, and now we're wanting it to be in this other format with these other metadata schemas. So going out and finding all that data, which exists, everywhere, and then formatting it in a way that it matches the format we were told we have to use for the open data schema. We're a team of two, and it's basically a team of one, Jason, and we've got some contract help. So what we're trying to do is, as we find awesome data, when we hear about it, because we do this, like, he'll go to me, I'll go to me, and I'm going, oh my gosh, have you seen the data? Then he contacts them and tries to scoop it up. So really it is this kind of labor of love, that the data is all out there. It may not be in a format that matches the metadata schema. So what we're trying to do is the low-hanging fruit. When we find awesome data, we try to get it, and he has to go through the negotiation of, because it takes work, and to have the data owner give it to us in a format even that we can, because there's a lot of negotiation, or they're the data owners. I'm not sure they want it to be over in this other place, and is it okay to be? We're a government agency, so we still negotiate all of this. So there's just it is a labor of love, and it's making sure that we get you what you need. It may not be as fast as you want it. The data is out there, it just may not all be in well, it's not all in data.nasa.gov, so, we're just, one day at a time as we do this, and we're trying to wrap tools and the services for you that as we give you data, we also make it as usable as possible, and through programs like Space Apps and others that we give you. Space Apps to me is like we give you a data set, wrapped in this compelling story. So just we worked on the climate.data.gov website and pulling that together. And then there was a lot of angst about why no one's using the data. Well, it's like if you build it, they will come. That was the thought. But just throwing a bunch of data sets in a listing without any kind of context or wrapping around them, you have to go sift and sort through it. So what we do with Space Apps is we say, here's the data set, but it's wrapped in this compelling challenge that you will be drawn to it and you'll want to work with it. So that's what all these services that we're giving you an opportunity to go in now and browse. We've got browsable, you can ask for your data with the data sets, and now we've got tools for you to play with it right there on the website, which means you'll want more. We're getting smarter about how easy or harder data is because you guys are using it. We even think of SpaceX is our 5th year in it. That's this 14,000 people came last year. We're kind of expecting 20, 25,000 this year. You're like this huge focus group that says this data is awful. So we go, is it really? So then we have to go back in and we have learned from you guys that our data is hard to work with. Our scientists love it because it's the way they like to see it. Our engineers love it. It's the way they like to see it and make it easy for you. So with all of these things that Socrato's done for us and with our websites, we're trying to just continue to add the quality experience that you need so that you'll go make money with our data or save the world with the data or change your community because you've seen something you didn't know about it. Or now we have better air quality because you've taken pictures of all the leaves that are wilted and so we can say, that's an area so we should, make some policies around it. So our data moves into action.
Are there any data sets in regards to shapefiles and hierarchies of locations and routes that can be utilized by different organizations for plotting their data or looking their data in regards to locations?
There could be. I don't know any off the top of my head. So Socrato would get it. There's data. There's those sorts of data files on the agencies, specifically for NASA. There are some, I've seen some in here because I remember having to deal with an issue with display. So if you send me an email, my email's out here, but there's emails all check in.
Yes, Census actually publishes a ton of shapefiles at lots of different levels. So Census Tract, county, region. So if you go on the Census website, there's a ton of shapefiles.
And it's also shown in developing countries?
Yeah, it's in the US, those files. But if you search online, there's shapefiles that are, if you just Google for, some country shapefiles, you'll find it.
Question. There's a lot of satellites are streaming data back at some sample rate, at least at Earth's. Is there any likelihood that becoming available as a real-time feed?
That would be awesome.
Would I agree?
So really, this is how it works. So typically, the satellite telemetry is considered SVU or ITAR. So that data comes down into a mission operations center and is archived. At some time later, and assume it's like an unmanned mission, so you don't have later or something like that. They'll publish the data. So for a couple missions that ran at Ames, there was Laddie and Iris. I was on the Iris mission, and then Laddie. We're currently trying to get their data released and their tools released for Space Apps Challenge. So what they had to do is they had to go through and remove a bunch of telemetry points that could have somehow conveyed some intimate details of the proprietary system that they didn't move on. So there's some data scrubbing. And then finally, there is now a big archive of telemetry. So now what do you do with it? You have to basically play it back or just suck it in and see a trend. Those are the two things. So that's kind of how it works. The only sites that really had real-time telemetry was one called ISS Live, which was a National Space Station site that showed some vehicle telemetry, solar panel temperatures and things like that. And that was more for hobbyists to mess with, and you could subscribe to a WebSocket and start getting telemetry and start building that. We did a SpaceX challenge last year on that exactly. So the quick answer, no, there's no real-time data feeds from NASA that goes. Hopefully someday there will be, and we can look it up. But
it's also our job to protect the data too, so that there's that balance of giving you what we can give you, but also ensuring that what we give you doesn't have other stuff that, we can't give you. And so that's where we get pushback from data owners who don't have time to do that. And so when we want the data, they're going, I don't have time to go in and ensure that it's something I can give you, or that takes in a process.
That's not.
Well,
all
it
the
is
data,
some.
all the data we get is open. So if we decide we want NASA data, we can go get it. The issue.
But for the telemetry that he's talking
The
about,
telemetry
that
is something separate, but that's not on a NASA server. If that was on a NASA server, then that is an architecture question. How do we serve it up so it's usable? Other than giving you this huge binary download, you have to figure out how to compensate. But the issue is, and what Beth was related to earlier, is a lot of NASA websites have a tight coupling between the data in the database and the view. So the only way to get that data is to scrape it out of a web page. So really what takes the negotiation is talking and saying, dump the data from your database and let us get some even if it's a CSV file or anything, it's better than having to scrape it. And unfortunately, there's been not a lot of work with in-house standards across how data is represented. I mean, folks are free to build their confusion. There's a lot of confusion databases that Ruby on Rails. There's Node, there's Python, they're all there, but there's really no export format that's a way to separate data, and that's the other thing we're going to do these negotiations.
You still have.
Rebecca, yeah.
I was gonna ask, maybe I can ask a question about if Kathy, if you want to go up and like get organized. I wanted to sort of ask, like, what does ideal public engagement look like to you? And you've already mentioned the suggestion platform, and I was wondering maybe you could actually call that up so that we can see what that looks like. So what it would kind of, how you would actually submit a suggestion or a request or something. And then also you mentioned space apps, and I was wondering, is it Gwen? Daniel, who just spent probably quite a long time loading like the 2015 winners of the Space App Challenge. I wonder if you could show us one or two, so we can have kind of a sense of like what a winning submission might look like.
So what's ideal public engagement? This is my personal opinion is that if you engage with NASA in any way and walk away happy, we're happy. I mean, to me, every touch point should be value added, and you should walk away, I would hope, amazed. And so we do try to spend a lot of time making sure that you have a good experience, and if you are looking for something and like some of our data sets are hard to use, then we try to kind of go back and wrap something more around it or try to figure it out, because you're telling us, this we don't want you to have a bad experience with our data. So that's a suggested data set.
Yes, you have to create an account, log in so that you know who was submitted by and stuff like that. Then you can enter the title and description, and you can see down here there's people that are submitted and
So it's not an ideal feature, it was an out of the box feature, so probably had to be more or less made into a communication. That way, the other way is just click on the email address and send an email saying where is this data set, and both of those will essentially
Well, then we gotta go find the person who has the data and then, do all that. If you can really quickly go, is Open NASA, we're on your computers, and we can look at Open NASA. Okay. Yeah. And then we can go to the innovation space, all over very far right, that one. And then let's New York Space Tech. So New York Space, if you click on that one, let's play the video. Let's see. Well, this is not. Let's see the video. Let's go back to. Can you go back really quick? I'll show you some cute videos. This is what it's storytelling. This is what makes it different. So if you go down just a little bit, Let me show the Space Lab. Here's the Space Lab. All right, so let's try NetDev Explorer. You see that one? That's on? Yeah, let's see that one. Space Lab is my favorite. I'm not sure. So click, go to the top, click on that video. Can you click on that? Yeah. Maybe it's not to be up like using.
Yeah, you have to, just go to the 2015 Space Lab. Or if there's a link to the project page, then
Yeah, SpaceX, yeah. 2015 SpaceX challenge.org. And then, yeah, so Valkyrie, remember? That's storytelling.
Hello, my name is Martin, and I'm team leader for Valkyrie. Valkyrie is our global concept for Facebook. We use Valkyrie to call to change new channel. Or to change the order. The presentation use Valkyrie to change the slides. Valkyrie tries to translate your daily wellness problems. Now I'm going to get my favorite. The difference Valkyrie from the point problems they need. Valkyrie and video show one time.
Real quick about that one, they're from Bulgaria. It was like 2 computer science students, and they teamed up with some other people, and they've already gotten funding, and they're doing their prototype one to go to market. So, show you one, New York SpaceX. So this is the data one. We're actually using this one. This is from New York. It's a natural language processing solution. It's not a good video, but it's a great solution. John Roberts, who was on the team, the lead for the team, he's a serial winner. It's a club from New York, so he's won 3 years in a row. And the cool thing about this is, we learned something. When he went up and presented, I was in New York last year, he went up and presented, and he said, NASA's a record about their data. They don't tag it as space. And we're going, that was blew my mind. I was going, why would we? If we don't tag it as NASA, we don't tag it as space. And it was just this interesting thing that they thought it was crazy, and we're going, why would we? We're NASA. Yeah, but we wouldn't tag our own stuff NASA because we're NASA. So then I had to rethink how we tag stuff. I was going, oh, we need some automatic tag that everything that comes out of my computer is NASA or something. But this is just showing that on the weekend, they had 2 days to work on it, and what you can do if you get kind of the right team and come together with a good solution. We give them, they get nominated at the local level. They can send for, at all 194 locations this year, they can send forward 2 nominations for global awards and 1 for People's Choice. And then we go through all this, and I have to tell you, Danielle, we had 964 solutions last year. Danielle looked through every single one of them. I went through like 400 maybe. She was a trooper, went through them all. And so what we're looking for, we give them, after they're nominated, they have 1 week to create this video. And so that's where your storytelling comes in. If you can't tell a compelling story, when we're going through 1,000 of them, it's like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, just on the, it could be a great solution, but if they can't tell it, you can't get through the video, it's like, I don't have time, and move on to the next one. So there's a lot about, for you innovators and you entrepreneurs out there, it's like you can have, again, you can have the best solution. You just got to figure out how to get people to get your solution. So there's storytelling. And then I'll move this on to Kathy. She's got stuff to talk about.
Actually, just to tie this all together, I really wanted to just take a few minutes and talk about my experience at the NASA Space Challenge last year, which was an extraordinary event. For those in the room, how many of you guys have attended a hackathon before? All right, so my very first hackathon was actually the NASA International Space Apps, and it definitely blew expectations for any other hackathon that I went afterwards. But I definitely wanted to just talk about the event and how much it inspired me. And even a year later, I still find myself talking about it to my family, to my friends, to my little niece who is only 8 years old and wants to become an astronaut. She's obsessed with NASA right now. And the fact that I had the opportunity to go to something like International Space Apps and meet a female astronaut, it actually gave me something to talk to my niece about, and something that I'm actually trying to get her to attend this year. And she's just so excited. The International Space Apps is definitely one of the best events that I've ever had an opportunity to attend. And if you have an opportunity to do so, whether it's dialing in or virtually attending, participating, or even going to a nearby location, it's a very rewarding experience. I had an opportunity to go there and also attend the Women in Data Camp, and that was great. And it wasn't just for women who had never done a hackathon before, but it was also open to the public. I mean, we had people there. I believe last year there were girls from 8th grade. There were people who were in their 60s. I mean, the spectrum is just very huge. And it's just so great to see people who are very, again, like-minded, who are passionate about data, especially with the data that NASA has. And when we talked a lot about the applications and some of the winners, one of the ones that that I'll never forget is that Socrata had an opportunity and the honor to be one of the judges. And one of the challenges was to create an application using the Socrata data platform. And one of the winners that we saw was something called the Wildfire Navigator. And that was something that, again, I was talking about. The group that presented talked about how every year 300,000 people die from wildfires. And what they did with this application was they took the wildfire data set that was available and created applications where it could help first responders have a better response time to different wildfires that were detected. So I think that, again, I never knew that, but back to what Beth was saying about being able to tell a story, it's not just being able to tell a story with data. I mean, for example, if you see an Excel file that has millions of rows, that might not mean anything. But once you're able to provide context, add a narrative, give that data a voice, you're really able to connect people, the public, the consumers of the data behind the actual Excel file. So not only with that, being able to tell a story is so important because it allows you to connect with people. And so again, I definitely encourage everyone, if you have an opportunity, I believe the registration is open next week, definitely apply. I mean, again, I'm really excited. Myself and our counterpart who has been working a lot with NASA as well will be at the Pasadena main stage event this year in LA, and we're really excited to be a part of that. And we're so excited to continue to partner with NASA on this incredible work. And again, I definitely encourage you to sign up. It's really a phenomenal event, and you really get to connect with so many people all around the world. So thank you again, and Rebecca, thanks for hosting this tonight. And we're really excited to have this opportunity to be here. And if there are any questions, we'll be around. Thank you.
So we have about 5 minutes left. If there are people who had questions that they didn't get to ask,
Space has shown.
I can.
Is there a way to participate?
Because we have 194 locations, we have one in Northern Virginia. I think it's the closest here. So we also have Planet Earth. So what we do, which is I think really unique with SpaceX, is that we will, if you want to participate virtually, we will team you up with virtual teams. And even one of the winners 2 years ago it was a team from Norway, and then they had a Brazilian virtual member. And so because they were winners, they came down to Florida for a launch, and they met their virtual member for the first time, and they were the winning team. So that just, to me, this global community of, you get passionate people, and it doesn't matter if you're not sitting in the same room. So yes, you can participate anywhere, and it's kind of, I think we have a couple in Baltimore and all around, and New York is used to, it's been the main stage the last 2 years, but taking a train ride up to New York, we're moving to the West Coast this year to give them a little love, but New York is always awesome. I mean, they just blow it out of the park and have all these different, they have a lot going on and a lot of different speakers.
Good question. Other questions, either about data sets that are available to play with, or examples of ways to engage? Everybody's excited to follow Sophia. Okay, well, with that, we'll wrap up. Sean Murphy, our esteemed founder, would like to say something.
Yeah, real quick. We have, over the chair. We have 2 events coming up. So next month in, it's April. We are doing a sexual assault and data. So we're going to try to tackle the issue and problem of sexual assault and rape. And we're bringing in someone who's a near and dear friend of mine. Just gave a talk at the TED conference, so she's great. She's a Baltimore local. It should be a very good event, but we're also looking for more data sources and speakers. And then we're also, it's May at that point, 2 years ago, we hosted a Women in Data Science event. And the goal was we featured 3 amazing female data science speakers, and we wanted more than 50% female attendance. We got something like 70, 80% attendance, which was incredible. And so we're doing that again, targeting May as the month that's going to happen. And we're going to partner with the new Women in Data Science meetup group. So we're looking forward to both of those events. And we're looking for people who might be interested in speaking or know someone who might be a relevant expert on those topics. So anyway.
Thank you, Sean. We have a question.
Can we announce other meetups?
Sure.
Yeah, do you have other announcements from the community?
Okay. So I run the Business Intelligence Meetup in DC, and if you like what you saw with the graph visualization of networks between in the prototype, you might be interested in joining the Graph Database Bootcamp that we're having coming up in early April. So just watch out for it, and hope to see you there.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Yep.
Hi, my name is Tom. I work with a group called EC2. So essentially what we're trying to do is bridge the gap between potential employers and data scientists. So we're actually having our kickoff event for our event series based on that, I think, on May 31st. So I'll actually be over here with my computer. If you guys want to come by and register for the event, we'll see emails and updates on the event coming up.
That's great. Can you, are you able to go to the data drinks thing and maybe you can register people over there?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, because I think we might need to seed the room soon. So thanks very much to everybody who made it out. Special thanks to our NASA speakers and our Socrata speakers, and thanks very much again to Socrata for sponsoring to make the booth. It was terrific seeing you all, and we hope to see you next time.